Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar. My name is Pinar Alpay, Chief Product and Marketing Officer at Signicat, and today we are delighted to have two distinguished guests from the Forrester team. We have Andras Cser. Hi, Andras. Welcome to our webinar. Would you mind giving a quick intro of yourself?
Hi there. Yes, this is Andras Cser. I'm a Vice President and Principal Analyst here at Forrester. I cover customer-facing identity and access management, authentication, as well as fraud management and compliance. Delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. Thanks very much. And we also have Alexis Ouelhadj. Alexis, please could you give an intro of yourself?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. I am Alexis Ouelhadj. I'm a consultant with Forrester, and I led the total economic impact study, which we were commissioned to undertake by Signicat.
Fantastic. Thank you. So together with Andras today and Alexis, we will focus on the total economic impact of Signicat study that Forrester has conducted last September. Our objective is to explore today the key findings and discuss the outcomes Signicat customers can achieve by collaborating with us across the digital identity lifecycle, be it compliant onboarding, authentication, or digital signatures. So to begin with, let's address the question, why did we conduct this study? The answer is straightforward. Signicat is a pioneering digital identity company with over 18 years of expertise in this field. We aim to assess the impact of our solutions on our customers' daily operations, understanding the benefits, limitations, and the challenges we have successfully navigated together with our customers. This study serves as a valuable tool for any prospective customers when considering working with Signicat, but also our existing customers in measuring the returns that they are achieving on their investment. During this webinar, we would like to discuss some key metrics, for example, conversion rates that can be achieved in onboarding, or reduction in fraud costs, or Signicat's role in helping our customers expand and grow geographically through our expert advice and compliant solutions to support market expansion. And we will reflect on the efficiency gains and time saved through automation of workflows and digitalization of processes, including signatures. Now I would like to turn the spotlight over to Alexis, who will delve into the total economic impact study and share some key findings. Alexis, over to you.
Thank you, Pinar. So the agenda for this section of the webinar will first start with what is a TEI. Then we'll go over the executive summary, which will show a high-level view of the study findings. We'll then take a look at the customers and their journeys that they took to invest in Signicat, and we'll then go over the study results in more details, and we'll finish with a Q&A. One element that is important to mention here is that this presentation is an abridged version of the study that we did, and for a full explanation of the methodology and study results, you should refer to the full case study, a link of which will be shared by Signicat. So what is a TEI? So a TEI stands for Total Economic Impact, which is meant to understand the total business value that a solution or service provides to an organization. And so to get to that total economic impact value, we have four key components. The first one are the benefits, which are the business advantages that organizations gain by implementing a solution like Signicat. And there are the costs as well, which are divided in two categories. The first are the direct costs, which are the fees that organizations must pay to have access to the solution, and indirect costs like internal labor or change management costs. We also try to measure flexibility where possible, which is the possibilities that can be unlocked in the future by making an investment today. And finally, we risk adjust all these categories, which helps us create a more conservative and realistic view and look at any variability based on factors like geography or vertical. And together, all these elements combined give us the total economic impact. So in terms of the approach, we take a 5-stage approach. We begin with research in the solution and the relevant market. We then conduct 5 interviews with customers to understand their experience with the solution and their prior challenges. We then create a composite organization. So because we spoke with multiple customers, we created one view for the purpose of the study. So we created a hypothetical organization that embodies the customer journey and experiences for the customer we interviewed. And then we created a financial model based on an organization and wrote a case study based on the customer's experiences and the composite organization. And so now we'll go over the executive summary, but first I will now be handing it over to my colleague Andras, who will be providing an overview of the IDV solutions market.
Sure. Thanks, Alexis. Right. So yeah, we see a lot of interesting questions in this customer-facing identity space. Biometrics is definitely an area where we've seen facial as well as voice biometrics playing an increased role. The algorithm accuracies and the privacy of even server-side matches have just increased rapidly. It's no longer a requirement to store images or audio samples on the server side to be able to kind of make the comparison in biometric authentication. The second item is digital identity, decentralized digital identity, or self-sovereign digital identity, which really, looks like it's going to completely change the whole market of identity and access management by providing a lot more control to users, a lot more privacy capabilities to users, privacy controls to users, as well as a much more kind of granular and distributed set of use cases by having issuers issue digital credentials, such as governments or universities or other organizations, and then verifiers such as employers or even stores for eligibility, liquor stores and other places using digital identity for verification. And obviously customers and users can select what they want to provide to the verifier, to kind of what kind of attributes they want to present. The next item is fraud management. We see fraud obviously being rampant with peer-to-peer payments and other areas. Scams, policy abuse is definitely something that we see a lot more these days. You have to be able to protect against fraud by doing a better identity and access management kind of posture, as well as be able to more effectively and more easily verify identities of enrolled customers or new enrollees, as well as detect any kind of challenges or changes to the account, right? So fraud management is definitely one of the key motivators for selecting and updating identity and access management infrastructures. We see vendors expanding internationally. So there's a lot of questions around, is this solution available in my geography with my regulators' requirements? And really, how does it fit the local business customs, right, in my geography? And lastly, I would say passwordless authentication, replacing the passwords, making sure that you have stronger authentication mechanisms are definitely areas of interest for our clients. And we see a lot of vendor investments in this space as well. Back to you, Alexis.
Thank you, Andras. So the TI study looks at the 3-year impact of the solution, and these are the high-level results on the right. So an ROI, a return on investment of 303% for the composite organization, resulting from overall benefits of 14.37 million euros, with costs of just short of 4 million euros, resulting in a net present value of 10.8 million euros. And when we spoke with customers, they really highlighted the value they get from Signicat by offering an easy digital journey to customers, and while meeting all the know your customers and anti-money laundering regulations, and at the same time reducing fraudsters that they onboard.
That's great. Thanks very much, Alexis there. That seems like a really impressive ROI of in excess of 300%. Great. Now, shall we look at the sort of customer journey and the rest of the study results?
Yes, absolutely. So now looking at the customer journey. So here are the profiles of the 5 customers we interviewed for the purpose of the study. So as you can see, we interviewed customers across a range of different industries, like financial services, HR consulting, and tech delivery platform. So the individuals whom we spoke with were in various departments related to digital capabilities of the organizations. And here we can see in terms of revenue, this ranges from 52 billion all the way down to 242 million euros per year. And so in terms of prior challenges, so when we spoke with customers, there were a few common challenges that they highlighted in the previous environment prior to acquiring Signicat solution. They all mentioned the poor customer experience due to the lengthy verification processes during onboarding mainly, but also for authentication purposes. And they also mentioned a coverage gap across the different markets where they were operating and the risk of non-compliance that resulted from this. So there are two categories of key results. The first one is the quantified benefits and the others are the unquantified benefits. So in terms of the quantified benefits, the first one that we've heard from customers are the reduction in fraud loss. The second one is an increase in client conversion rate during onboarding. Then there is an increase in team efficiencies for compliance, contract, and customer support teams. And finally, a reduction in copies that are printed. Regarding the unquantified benefits, the customers we interviewed mentioned an improved customer experience and a digitalized journey, the ability to meet the anti-money laundering regulations, an improved access to markets, and the convenience of having a centralized and digital repository, and as well as the reduced ecological footprint due to the reduction in printings. So here we have a quote from one of the customers that really highlights the one-stop shop approach of having Signicat and how it helps them to meet all the AML regulations and reducing the consequences of meeting these regulations. And they really highlighted the fact that having a service provider like Signicat, who has all these services into one solution, really helps them and is of great value for them. So now we'll look at the study results more in depth. So first, we'll need to look at the composite organization that we created for the purpose of the study, which is really an aggregated view of the 5 organizations we interviewed. We then created a representative organization, which we used as a basis to do the financial model of the study. And so the composite organization for the purpose of the study has these key features. So it operates in the financial services industry. It deployed Signicat in 4 markets. It has a revenue of 17 billion euros and of 1.2 billion euros in the markets where Signicat is deployed. It has 31,000 employees globally and more than 2,000 in the 4 markets where Signicat is deployed. In terms of numbers of customers that they onboard, so the composite organization onboards both consumer clients and corporate clients. It has a basis of 4 million consumer clients and verifies 200,000 customers in the first year with a 10% growth per year. And 70% of these are verified with Signicat in the first year, 75% in the second year, and 80% in the last year, the third year. It also has a basis of 600,000 corporate clients, 30,000 of which are verified in the first year with a 5% growth, and all of them are verified via Signicat solution. So looking at our analysis, the customers were able to identify and quantify 7 key financial benefits. So the first one and the most important one is the fraud loss reduction, which is equal to 7.5 million euros over the 3 years. Then there are benefits related to the net profit from the increased conversion rate. There are also benefits related to an increase in profit due to the incremental customer acquisition with Signicat. There are also cost savings due to the improved identity verification process and the digitalization of the signature process. There are also cost savings for the customer support team that the customers were able to quantify. And finally, there are cost savings due to the avoided printed paper with Signicat solution. So we'll start with the fraud loss reduction benefits. So the customers we interviewed highlighted a reduction of onboarded fraudsters compared to the previous environments, which mainly consisted of verifying customers manually, which was prone to more errors than with Signicat. All the customers we interviewed, they mentioned that with Signicat's robust and various identification methods, they were able to reduce the number of fraudsters that they onboarded, while also reducing the number of frauds during authentications of the customers, while also reducing the number of frauds for signature purposes. So for the composite organization, we evaluated a 75% reduction in fraud, of which 90% was attributed to Signicat by the customers we interviewed. This ultimately leads to a 7.5 million euros 3-year benefit for the composite organization.
That's really great. Thanks, Alexis. Combating fraud is a fundamental objective in our daily operations at Signicat, and our efforts are geared towards seamless onboarding of legitimate users in the most cost-effective way possible while preventing fraudsters from gaining access, both during onboarding but also during subsequent logins. Andras, given that fraud remains a persistent concern for both our clients and us, how is the market adapting to new technologies, particularly with the increasing prevalence of deep fakes and the rise of Gen AI?
Sure. So typically we see deepfakes and generative AI being used offensively by fraudsters, right? In physical identity documentation, document verification processes. So basically during the process where you have a mobile app and the customer takes a picture of their government issued photo ID, and then they do a selfie using the camera of the mobile device. And during that comparison process, there can be a lot of different things, like adjusted documents, falsified documents, video feeds coming from completely different sources than from the device. So I would say there's two major kind of avenues for deepfake recognition. One is basically looking for signals of video as well as still image and also voice modifications, right? There's definitely signs that are telltale, like they're in voice, for example. Human feet cannot really produce the same kind of voice every single time, and the deep fake will largely do that, or the transitions in voice are going to be different. In the facial recognition space, right, it is a lot harder. There's algorithms that actually look at too smooth of skin, kind of too perfect or symmetrical faces. But these, so this is definitely an arms race, like a cat and mouse game, with detecting deep fakes in this space. So that's one thing, detecting alterations of the image or video. The other aspect of deepfake detection is basically making sure that the application source from which you are sourcing the video or the audio remains in control and signed. So this means that detecting any kind of rooted devices, jailbroken devices, unusual device drivers, unusual sources of data, that's another kind of avenue. So deepfake detection is definitely an important thing. And as you said, Pinar, it's just definitely on top of mind of a lot of our customers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, thanks for that. And maybe another topic is the conversion rates in the study. I know we observed noteworthy incremental increase in the conversion rate by 19 percentage points with the adoption of our solution. Alexis, would you kindly elaborate on the implications and advantages associated with a higher conversion rate?
Yes, of course. So the second benefit is the net profit from the increase in conversion rates. So the customers we interviewed mentioned that with Signicat, they experienced an increase in conversion rate for the customers that they onboard. They cited the reduced time of verification along with the improved and simplified integrated and digital process as contributing factors to this increase in conversion rate. One of the interviewees cited an increase of 19 percentage points in conversion rate during onboarding. And so for composite organization, we have an increase in conversion rate of 19 percentage points for both the consumer clients and corporate clients, resulting in a net benefit over 3 years of 3.2 million euros. Of course, there are two variables impacting this benefit, which is the previous conversion rate of the organization.
That's great. The next topic is expansion into new markets. Signicat plays a pivotal role in enabling secure access to higher risk markets and verticals. And thanks to our efficient and localized identification methods, our customers can gain confidence to explore and tap into these markets, expanding their total addressable markets. This strategic move not only enhances market presence, but also facilitates the onboarding of additional customers. Can you elaborate, Alexis, on the specific benefits that the composite organization has uncovered through this accelerated expansion?
Yes, absolutely. So when we spoke with the interviewees, one of them mentioned that because of the improved verification process and the access to multiple verification methods during onboarding for the customers and prospects, they accessed and gained new customers in verticals and markets that they were previously considered too risky to access. And the customers noted that the organization was now more scalable and that they had a faster rollout to enter new markets because they no longer have to investigate the regulatory landscape, which allowed them to ultimately gain new customers. And so this interviewee in particular mentioned that with Signicat, they were able to almost double their addressable market and gain about 3 to 4 million users. And this customer attributed 15% of this to using Signicat solution. So for a composite organization, the result of this benefit is more than 400,000 euros over 3 years.
Thanks, Alexis. Maybe a really quick parenthesis on how Signicat helps our customers grow rapidly outside of their home markets. Happens firstly through our world-leading EID hub with 35 EIDs across Europe, but also for markets where there are no EIDs available, we have our global electronic document and biometric verification engine, which helps our customers grow. Our electronic document and biometric verification engine, as per what Andras was talking about, is a fully compliant remote identification solution, which uses machine learning technology to identify any document forgeries as well as any deep fakes that have been embedded into the different images or videos that may have happened. So secure and compliant growth in any kind of market is possible through our wide range of solutions. Now, another question maybe to Andras. What are the key elements that companies should not forget when expanding into new markets?
Sure. So I mean, every market, right, is going to present its unique set of challenges, right? There's different business requirements, different business rules, different business customs, right? Like the kind of how business is conducted in various countries. So definitely a product, in identity or security should be able to kind of blend into those customs and help the customer experience and not try to enforce its own kinds of steps, own kinds of verification methods, or something that is completely foreign to that market. So it should blend into the usual habits and customs of that market. So that's number one. Number two, there's these regulatory questions, right? Every country has its own set of data privacy questions and regulations like GDPR or CCPA in California, and more coming, right? Consent requirements are also coming up, as well as if there is, if the solution is deployed in the banking or insurance or gambling vertical, you may also run into questions from the auditors, like the regulators, right, in the country, which obviously AML regulations are also very varied in every country. So I think that's so basically paying attention to regulatory questions is very important. Secondly, and thirdly, I would mention is just really understanding the accuracy rates and really making sure that where that market specifically is in terms of accuracy requirements, verification, false accept, false reject rates, and make sure that the solution actually fits into those requirements really nicely. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. Now let's change gears a little bit and talk about resources. Streamlined processes not only enhance overall productivity, but also enable our customers to allocate their time and costs strategically. This allows them to focus on their core jobs to be done, such as finding more customers and serving them in the best way possible. Alexis, could you tell us more about Forrester's findings on cost savings our customers experience?
Yes, so the customers we interviewed shared that using Signicat to verify their customer's identity during onboarding, as well as for authentication purposes, helped them save time that they previously spent on manual verifications, mainly by the identity verification and compliance teams. So this resulted in improved operational efficiency and cost savings for their compliance teams. One of the customers said that on average, its organization saved about 40,000 hours per year from no longer having to verify and review identities manually. And on average, the customer shared that they saved 20 to 30 minutes per customer verification because of Signicat. So this results for the composite organization in 20 full-time employees equivalent in reduced efforts for the compliance team in the first year. 7 full-time employees as well, in addition for verifying corporate clients, resulting in an overall benefit of 2.9 million euros over 3 years for the composite organization.
That's great. Thanks, Alexis. Did you uncover any other benefits during the study?
Yes, so there are other benefits that customers mentioned as a result of using Signicat. So one of them is related to cost savings due to the digitalization of the signature process with Signicat. So the customers mentioned that using these digital signatures for contracts with clients help them save time from processing and reviewing contracts manually, while at the same time providing a certified signature that ensured the authenticity and as well as the accuracy of the customers who sign contracts with them. This results in cost savings of about 281,000 euros over 3 years. Another benefit is related to cost savings for the customer support teams. So some of the customers mentioned that because of the improved verification process during onboarding and a smoother process for customers to log on into their accounts with the Signicat authentication solution, they saw a reduction in customer support outreach. At the same time, they also mentioned that because the customer support team now had direct access and more reliable information about the customer's identity, they were able to save time to support customers. This results in 57,000 euros benefits after over 3 years. And finally, the customers mentioned that because they use Signicat's digital signature solution, they no longer have to print multiple pages for the contracts for the customers. And this resulted in avoided printing costs. In addition, they mentioned that all the agreements with the clients were signed through the solution and now archived in a single access point that could be accessed digitally. So these cost savings related to printing, avoided printing, are equal to 28,000 euros for the composite organization over 3 years. Very good. And so really all the customers we spoke with highlighted the critical value that they gain from using Signicat for onboarding and identity verification purposes. And there were also other benefits that customers were not able to quantify, but that they were able to share with us and from which they saw high value as an impact of using Signicat. So the first one is the improved customer experience by having a fully integrated and digitalized verification process, mainly during onboarding, but also for authentication. They mentioned that this has a huge impact on the customers and their smooth digital experience. They also mentioned an improved ability to meet all the anti-money laundering regulations, also an increased convenience of repository and archiving due to the digital signature contracts process. They also mentioned the digitalized customer journey and having Signicat as part of their digitalization efforts. They also mentioned an improved access to new markets with having Signicat, and because of Signicat's knowledge of the different regulations and identification methods across different markets. And finally, they highlighted an improved time to value by being able to onboard customers more quickly because of the easy and smooth identification process. So there were also costs that the customers shared with us for using Signicat. So the main cost is the cost of verification, so the cost to verify customers during onboarding. Then there is a cost related to the digital signatures with their customers. And there are also costs related to the subscription fee of using Signicat. There are also costs related to the implementation labor and internal labor that was required in order to deploy Signicats within the organization. And finally, there are ongoing costs related to relationship management with Signicat. So the customers we interviewed also shared value that they foresee they will be able to gain from using Signicat. So how we define flexibility at Forrester is really the opportunity that could arise in the future from an investment in a solution like Signicat. And when we spoke with customers, they saw two main flexibility advantages of using Signicat. The first one is expanding their activity to new markets, whether it's new verticals or new geographical markets. So mentioned that they could use Signicat solution to verify their partner organizations with whom they work. So to summarize the findings from the study, here are the three key outputs. So the first one is the return on investment of 303% over 3 years, which is equal to 10.8 million euros of net present value over 3-year period, and a payback period of less than 6 months. And the payback period here is the break-even period of the investments in the solution.
Sounds great. Fantastic. Thanks, Alexis. So through this study, we saw incremental value for our customers, affirming the substantial returns they can achieve through collaboration with us. So in total, ROI in excess of 300% with a payback period of less than 6 months. Conversion rate improvements in excess of 19 percentage points, fraud cost reduction of 75%, and ability to expand to new markets in 17 days, as little as 17 days, among many other benefits quantified and unquantified. Okay, so this was the end of our presentation, but we've got a few questions from the audience. Now let's take a look at them. Great. I think this one is for you, Alexis. Can you explain why Forrester makes risk adjustments to benefits?
Yes, absolutely. So essentially, the risks that we include in the benefits and cost sections are used as a filter within the total economic impact model. And that's in order to capture the uncertainty that surround all the benefits and costs. And so we apply these risk percentages in order to account for that uncertainty and variability, and also create a more reasonable and conservative estimates across all the benefits and costs.
Got it. Thanks very much. And this next one also goes to you, Alexis. If a company is a different size or industry than the one we discussed as the composite organization, how can our customers or prospects apply these learnings to their own situation?
Yes, that's a very good question, and in fact, that's exactly why we clearly specify the composite organization's attributes and characteristics, as well as the use of the solution, so that the readers, so that you can evaluate the applicability as well as the relevance, of these to your own organization. So since we aggregate the results from different users, it's also designed to other organizations. And in addition, each benefit and cost sections in the study highlight the variability and the different use cases, which can help you understand how relevant these are to your own organization. However, if these use cases are differing too much, you may need to investigate into which benefit and cost applies to your own organization.
Great, thanks very much. Let's look at the other questions. This next one I think is for Andras. Andras, what are the best practices for customers to implement digital identity solutions? What should they pay attention to?
Sure. I mean, it's definitely important to keep an eye on the business benefits, right? And I think this DEI study helps a great deal, in doing so, right? Looking at the fraud management, fraud recording costs, customer acquisition improvements, etc. So the more the project is basically kept as a business benefit, collection of business benefits, and less such just a kind of back end project or back office project that supports IT security, the more results you're going to find. So typically, also, if you have some audit findings that you have to remediate or compliance requirements, you just blend those into the project that you actually are going to be able to better or less expensively satisfy those requirements. There's also customer experience improvements, lowering the friction. You can definitely measure this by doing net promoter scores, attrition rates, etc. And lastly, I would say, if you're able to prioritize, that's always helpful, and just focus on a few areas, right? One or two, maybe maximum 3 areas or lines of business or applications, and not kind of overinflate the project. That's definitely helpful to learn how to run and operate things and the findings and observations.
Yeah, that's very insightful. Very insightful also to focus on actual business benefits, as well as not see it as a back office project, because it directly has to do with the top line here as well as the bottom line. Okay, great. I think we have time for one last question, and this question goes to you, Alexis. In addition to ROI, what are some other good ways to convince the company's leadership team that they need Signicat solutions?
Well, with an ROI of 303%, an investment in Signicat should sell itself to your leadership. But however, there are also a lot of neat details in the full study that will help you seek leadership's approval for this investment. So I suggest to read the full study so that you can have access to these elements and these overall benefits of using Signicat for your organization.
Sounds great. Okay, well, this brings us to the end of our allocated time. We didn't have time to answer all the questions that came through, but we will address them in the follow-up email together with the webinar recording. Alexis and Andras, thank you so much for the great work and also joining us to explain all of your findings. Also, thanks to our audience for listening. You can download the executive summary of Signicat's total economic impact report in the handouts. If you have any further questions, please reach out to us. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.